And we're back with some more oxygen not included. And today I'm just going to take a little brief sidetrack just for a few minutes to finish off this water tank. This here is going to be our water tank for the foreseeable future for storing all of the water this thing filters. And it's going to need to be big. Really, really big. So I think to start we're going to make it this tall. We're going to seal it in, liquid lock at the top, and then we're going to vacuum the whole sucker out. Now the reason for this is I really just want to clean up all the nasty gases that are lying around the map. If we look here, you can see there's just these layers of gases that I just want to dispose of. I'm going to stick in some oxygen deodorizers over there. We're going to probably get around to those later, but for now, I'm going to concentrate on cleaning up the entire bottom of the map and installing a water tank. This, of course, would take a little bit of time, but that's what fast forwarding's for. Applying a little bit of a time jump, we've managed to complete all of this gas piping, and the gas pumps to go with it, and the power, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I went and actually just grabbed a cup of tea. And with all of that done, we're now vacuuming this place out. It's sealed in here, so this will be the only entrance, and then we'll be able to use this entire thing as one giant water tank. Now, I know this maintenance type activity is not the most exciting thing in the world, but I think it's, well, I find it essential for actually running a base to start centralizing things after a while. Not for just efficiency's sake, but for the sake of your brain. Otherwise, you start to lose your mind a little bit. What we're doing here is we've got 3 liquid pumps, and okay, yeah, this piping does look like a nightmare. Okay, all 3 of these liquid pumps are pumping into liquid filters. If it's clean water, the clean water gets sent over here into our clean water tank. If it's anything but clean water, it gets sent into these pipes down here, which go down into our filtration section, and they get dumped into filtration. Done. This should mean if we leave this running for, whatever, 50 cycles or so, this will drain this entire tank, all the clean water ending up over here, all the polluted salt water, all the non-clean water will all get filtered and then dumped in there. This is just one big, nice, yes, I don't have to worry about that anymore, it's done, problem solved. You see, the problem you face as you get later and later into the game is it's harder and harder to compartmentalize stuff and have it just finished and not worry about it. For example, this oxygen production over here. This oxygen production, where's the water for it coming from? Well, the water for it comes from this tank down here. Now this tank actually has, oh god, little bits of leftover polluted water, and yet this was installed a long time ago, so it's a little bit messy. But where does the water that gets fed in here come from? Well, there's actually 2 sources. One is it comes from this desalinator over there. That desalinator is fed from over here, which is fed from this vent over there. But that's only half the water. The other half of the water comes from over here, which is a cold salt or a slush geyser. So the cold water from there and the hot water from over here feed this tank to make it about 50 degrees. That gives us some 50-degree water to throw into our oxygen supply. Yes, so we have 2 different systems feeding our primary oxygen supply. That's not great. We should really not have that. At the same time, half of this water, well, a bunch of this water, this salt water, the hot stuff, comes over here and it flows through the bottom of the brine tank. And the reason for that is it actually causes this brine to heat up. Otherwise, if this brine gets dumped into the desalinator without being heated up a bit, it will break the desalinator because it's too cold and the clean water will come out below freezing point. At the same time, this actually chills down the hot water, and that this hot salt water, and that hot salt water then gets desalinated and fed into our crops. So we'd like it to be a little bit chill, so it gets 40 degrees before it gets there. There's a whole bunch of interconnected, interdependent systems, and I want to break all of that and just have it all nice and centralized, because for now, I can't do anything with either of those systems without breaking the other. If I try and remove this vent over here, then I break this one over here at the same time. And if I remove this one from the equation, well, then this is going to be too hot and it'll stifle our crops. So these interconnected systems are just an absolute nightmare, which is where centralization comes in. We're going to centralize a lot of this. It might take a few minutes, but it will save us so much pain in the long run, because you just know one of those systems is going to get broken, either through something you do or through something beyond your control. So I'm going to take another few minutes, maybe another hour or so in the background, and I'm going to do a little bit more centralization. For example, we're going to start feeding this, our water system over here, with the clean water from our tank down this end. So that might require us to clear out a little bit more space. That took a little bit of time, but we've managed to clear out this entire area. All of that natural stuff is gone, and we're left with a nice clean section. Unfortunately, I did let the sweeping run for a little bit long, and because of that, our water tank has been filling up. In fact, our water tank is so full, we kind of have to expand it already. This was not intended. I was hoping to actually keep, this would do us for a while, but yeah, having 40 kilos per second being pumped, turns out that that really does speed things along. So we're going to have to extend this tank, which means this has to go. And I figure the simplest way to do that is if we just deconstruct that tile there and there. You know what, just one tile should be fine. If we deconstruct that tile, all of that salt water will just flow down in here. And then those three liquid tank pumps down there can take care of it. They'll either filter it into this section and the clean water will get dumped over there. We also had to extend the piping on here substantially. There's so much piping going on here. And these pipes are going to have to keep being extended as the tank goes up. Maybe, no. It was worth it. All of it was worth it. This should allow us to drain this out, and then we can basically brick this up. Something like that. A quick bit of modification there, and then we're going to have all of that salt water pour off the edge. It will end up in this tank. It's going to be a little toasty, but we don't care so much. It'll all end up in here. Eventually, this entire tank will be drained, filtered, and end up in our water tank. Now, this time, I don't want to make it too small. We want to extend this on a bit, so we're going to extend it on to up there. That should give us about half a map's worth of water storage. Half the height of the map. So we're halfway to the top once we fill this sucker, which should hopefully take a few hundred cycles. Hopefully. Now you may be wondering, do we really need to vacuum this whole area out to put in the water storage? I think not, actually. It's just I used an airflow tile to keep the water in. The reason being is the pressure down here gets rather intense. This is up to 1,400 kilos of pressure down here. Actually, almost 1,500 kilos of pressure. That's just to do with the way water stacks. As you get closer and closer to the top, you'll end up with 1,000 kilos. The thing is, the more pressure you have at the bottom, the more likely it is to blow out the bottom of the tank. It's just different materials have different cracking potentials, or different levels that they'll actually break at. But airflow tiles don't. Another thing you could do is you could just make this 3 layers thick. 3 layers thick of any material will stop water from breaking out, or any liquids from breaking out from pressure damage. But we went with airflow, and normally I like to just vacuum it out. So here we are. Though we've almost filled up the first section of our tank, I've decided to chuck in a ladder here just to help with travel times. It's just going to be so long otherwise getting up and down this tank, especially once we hit space. I mean, we're not going to be at space on this run, but eventually that tank will get there. So we're going to want to make sure we've got a little bit of a transport system so we can go in and out of it. We might even, well, we can't really put in transit tubes. The reason being is the transit tube will crack under pressure, and you can't put there is this transit tube crossing. So you can use that as wall segments, but if you place them together like that, it doesn't actually count. No one can pass through that. Well, they can't last I checked, which means you can't really get a transit tube in here without leaving a weakness in the wall that can be exploited by the water to break out. But just give us another couple of minutes there. I think once we've got that fire pole in, we can scrape out the last of the gunk, seal this up, and add this into our, well, soon-to-be enormous water tank. The entire tank is vacuumed out. We're just putting in the last of the piping so we can open it up. But down here, the water has started bouncing. This happens when the water gets tall enough. You notice here that the water level is actually going down. We're down to, what, 250, 220, 180. It just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. Why is the water level dropping so much? Well, the weird thing is the water's compressing. So it's compressing down near the bottom because of the weight of all the water above it. But at some point, the water seems to just spring and bounce back up again. So all you have to do is keep an eye on it, and once it drops down here to, I don't know exactly where to say, about 500 kilos or so, I think it bounces back up again, and then it will basically just pop up a tile or two all of a sudden. Yep, there we go. So we now have bouncing water. That's not going to get better. The taller this tank gets, the more bouncing we're going to experience. Probably not good for the PC. I maybe should have made a wider tank. I mean, we could have used infinite liquid storage, but it's just not the same. Then you don't want to experience this wonderful bouncing. Also, at the same time, we wouldn't have to build such a ludicrous water tank. I mean, look at this. The duplicates take forever just to climb to the top of it. And we're going to have to expand this. There's no doubt about that. With the vacuum in place, I think we can start deconstructing some of the stuff in here. We can maybe do a little bit of cleaning up before we merge the two tanks. The surge is finally starting to push up above the liquid vents. Yeah, it's a good thing we got this tank finished when we did. Jesus. And to think, I only started this today and it's already overflowing. I thought this was going to last us a lot longer. Alright, this extra chunk up here should last us a lot longer. Especially since we've got all the piping in place and it's good to go. Right? Right? I freely admit that this water tank expansion has gotten a little bit beyond the scope of what I was intending. Just, you know, we had a plan and maybe we went a little bit further than we were expecting in this initial run. Apologies, but it's okay. It's okay. I've got this under control. All we're going to do is just drain a few more tanks and make ourselves a little bit more space. It'll be fine. I'll just be back in a few minutes. You know that feeling when you've gone past the point of no return and it's just, yeah, we're here now. There's no changing it. Yeah, pretty much this entire episode has just turned into me building a water tank. I have no idea how it happened. It I spent all of yesterday and I wasted the entire day doing this. I just keep getting distracted. I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll just start this, and then I just won't be able to stop. Look at this thing; it's ludicrous. We could have just went with any other form of storage. I could have slowed down the water input. Take more time about things. Oh, by the way, the magma, we've actually started to solidify it all. Turns out the temperature spread on this is actually amazing. You got to remember, this stuff was about 1500 degrees when we started. Like, if we get this stuff up here that's insulated, this stuff is about 16, this thing's about 15, yeah, about 1550 is what it normally starts at. If you look here, that is. But then from about here on out, the temperature has actually been drained just a few degrees apiece. And as you get closer and closer to our diamond heat spike, it's like it's 470, 460. We've drained like almost 100 degrees across the entire magma biome. That's crazy. But that's actually good for us, because this will allow us to solidify all of this, and then we can cut the bottom out of this, and we can extend the water tank down all the way to the base of the map. So at least it has some benefits to it, though we're going to need a bunch of diamond for that. For the time being, I'm just... okay, let's actually go over some of the benefits that this has actually brought us. Excuse the messy piping, but we do have water, the water for our crops and for our oxygen production for our oxalite. Both of that is now fed off the main tank. As well as that, the water for our main oxygen supply also fed off the main tank. That means we've basically centralized all of our clean water needs. At the same time, we have the polluted water coming from our other planet, and we have this slush geyser here. Both of these are cold, and what we've done is we've linked these both into the same pipe, namely because they won't be running at 10 kilos per second flat out all the time, so they can alternate. But all of that comes all the way down here, and it rotates through here. You see, the reason is this stuff is, well, it's coming in at minus something. I think this stuff is already a little bit preheated, but we can send it through here, drop it, increase its temperature up to 68 degrees, which should drop the temperature in this main tank just a little bit. I mean, there's no point wasting that chill. And also it preheats the water before it goes in here to get heated. We could also do some stuff with using the exhaust from this, the 95C water output, and we could use that to preheat the water coming in. I'm just not bothered. I kind of want to freeze the whole magma biome. I want to solidify the lot of it so that we can cut it out. But for the time being, we're going to extend this water tank a little bit. We maybe have preemptively chopped out a little bit of the map up to a little bit of a distance. So, yeah, sorry, I'm just going to have to finish this out. I can't help myself. Behold, a ridiculous waste of time. I spent... How did this happen? Right, so this is now our new liquid tank. It goes from just above the magma biome up to space. However, there was chances of people getting sunburn when they were in here, so we installed a sunroof. Yeah, there we go. Now they can get all that delicious sunlight whenever they want it. Actually, I wonder does solar work underwater? I've never actually tested that before. Oh, wow. Okay, water completely blocks sunlight, so no, there's no chance. I was just thinking maybe we could put some solar panels down here. Well, we could at least try some, I suppose. Well, it turns out you can flood solar panels. Also, they do overheat above 75C, and our water tank's a little bit hot. Okay, the more you know. But anyway, what are the features of this water tank that I have burned such a stupid amount of time building? Well, all of the filtered water from down here gets sent up here and gets dumped off at the top of the tank. On this tank, we will never have to touch it again, theoretically. Well, I do have to clean up some pipes here and there. But if you come all the way up to the top, well, we'll get there in a minute. Almost there. Almost there. There we go. Now, as you can see here, the water pops at the top here, but there is vacuum of space right there. So what will happen is, if this tank overflows, the water will just flow off there and be sucked into the vacuum of space and destroyed. So this thing is, we will never have to worry about it filling up ever again. We're safe. We have finally finished the water tank. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to have to make some changes down at the bottom of the map, namely to do with our desalinator? Wait, no, that's not a desalinator, I suppose. Water filtration. Yeah, we need to expand this out and start tapping into more heat. Do we need to do it just now? No, not really, but I do need more diamond. The reason being, we want to make this out of diamond, and diamond-wise, we're down to about 30 tons of this stuff. I'm thinking we're going to need to improve upon our diamond production, which is just over here. And they've changed the recipe. It used to be you needed 100 rad bolts and 10 kilos of refined carbon, and they've upped it to they've multiplied the recipe by 10. Now you need 100 kilos of refined carbon and 1,000 rad bolts. Less duplicant labor, but more rad bolts. I think we are going to need to expand our diamond production quite substantially. So you know what? Yeah, just give us another few tons of that there, and you can do the same thing. And while that's going on, we are going to go up to space, and we're going to put ourselves together a little bit of a diamond press area. I'm thinking right about here we can put in one. To fill these full of rad bolts, we're going to use this generator over here, which is... yeah, there's loads. There's absolutely loads in that. So we're going to want to chuck these things full of them. And we're going to need a lot of diamond. Diamond is actually very, very useful, especially as a thermal conductor. And now that we can put mount it on top of rockets, we're going to have lots of use for it in the future as well. And, oh my god, how did you two guys trap yourself? Just, no. Seriously? Right, we'll have this here, and we'll make sure we put in our refined carbon in there. Now it's just a matter of turning this sucker on. We'll set you to refined carbon. You know what? Well, let's make that forever. Why not? We'll find a use for this stuff one way or the other. Then we just turn this switch on. Oh, wait. Wrong direction. You need to be set to go that way. Perfect. Oh. Yeah, that's not very bright now, is it? Tell you what. That is actually pretty cool. They just keep bouncing around for infinity inside of there. Never mind, we'll dispose of that for the time being and then delete it. Then when we launch these things... oh, saving now? Once we turn that on, boom, you can see it actually charging up. Now, I think these things can only hold exactly... oh, wow. 2,000 red bolts? Okay, so 2,000 is the maximum those things can hold. We'll turn you off for a moment. Though... yeah, that's not really enough production. That there looks more like it. We can now crank out some serious amounts of diamond, assuming we've got the rad bolts, which I think... yeah, we'll turn the sucker on. And the way I've designed it is, no one should have any reason to step in the way of those rad bolts. I've removed these ladders here, so if they want to get up there, they have to come around under this section and up the back. So no duplicants should end up standing in front of any rad bolts. Now come on, don't do it. Don't do it. Excellent. Now, this of course is going to make it all the way to the end. So what we could do is maybe put in some sort of sensor to turn this off. I'm thinking what we do is we put in a sensor here, and if it detects radiation, then we shut off this. That way we can... actually need to wait. Let me think about this for a minute more. A few minor modifications. We had to put in a sunroof because our duplicants were getting a little bit toasty in there. That was unfortunate. We're also going to need to whisk the heat away from here because these things do generate heat, so we're going to have to put in some sort of transfer medium. But we're almost finished with all of that. However, this is out of rad bolts. That thing that had loads and loads of rad bolts in it, yeah, they're all gone. Turns out these things are incredibly hungry for rad bolts, but it's a good thing we know how to generate lots of them. Now, just give us one moment here while we put in a little bit of a transfer medium. I'm thinking a bit of petroleum in here would do just perfect. If we are going to have any hope of keeping this running anyway sustainably, it's time to start abusing rocket launches and landings to generate a lot of radiation. But first we're going to need to make some improvements. One, the rad bolt generators are going to need to be made of obsidian so that they won't melt from the constant launching and landing. Two, these power wires, we're going to replace them with tungsten, much higher melting point. And the actual rocket platform itself, also going to be made of tungsten so that it doesn't melt the rocket launching and landing platform. I've learned that already from melting I think it was a copper one we melted already. Let's just be really safe here. This should generate us lots and lots of rads that we can use to run this. However, we're also going to need some refined carbon to run that, so yeah, we've installed a few extra carbon refinement places down here. Coal-wise, how much coal are we rocking? We have a lot of coal. That's, yep, 1,000 tons of coal. I think we are good on the coal front. So let's just finish off the rocket front. Here comes our rocket now. So that track is in there, and that should be set to round tripping. So they should immediately land and then take right back off again. Or not. Come on. Oh, 1 second. Alright, there we go. That should be an enormous amount of radiation for us to start fueling our diamond creation. That kind of works. How are we doing on the refueling front? Okay, 2,500 per cycle. That's not terrible. 3,000. Okay, much better. Alright, it seems to have stopped, but yeah, that's a decent amount of rads, and that should keep our diamond production going for a while. Let me see why this is stopped though. It should continue launching and never stop if we've done this right. After hooking up an automation wire and setting it to green, we've now got it fully automated so it launches, lands, and just keeps repeating itself ad nauseum with no fuel consumption whatsoever because, yeah, that is completely broken. Jesus. Okay, rads are up to 7,000 and climb 9,000. Oh my God. What's your generation? 9,000 per cycle, you're at 7,000. Well, the ones that are not in the center are going to be a little bit slower than the rest. But this should allow us to keep our diamond production fueled for the foreseeable future. Now, to cool these machines down, I was very lazy, like just incredibly lazy. So what we did was we just put a gas loop going through our nuclear waste storage. So it just rotates through there all the way around and back up. All of these things are made of steel, so they won't overheat until they hit 200 and something degrees. We don't really have to care, because this nuclear waste there's so much thermal mass in this, it will take an eternity. Well, not an eternity, but let's just say you'll be bored of this game long before that ever gets to troublesome temperature regions. Oh God. What are we looking at there? 12,000. Oh my God, you can literally watch it just go up at ridiculous speeds. I think that will cover our diamond production for the foreseeable future. Yeah, that's 5 tons of diamond we've produced already. I think we'll be fine for a while until the rocket pad melts, though the rocket pad does not seem to be heating up. Oh wait, no. What? Look at the rocket pad, it says is at 45C, which makes no sense. But the tungsten it's made of is at 13 to 1400 degrees. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but doesn't matter. We have plenty of radiation and plenty of diamond. Let's go mess around with our heat spike. Down here we've actually got plenty of space, and since it's in a vacuum, our dupes can come down here and work no problems. All we got to do now is put ourselves in, let's see, yeah, I think we'll do a little bit of that and a little bit of that, just to spread out our, nope, too far. We don't want to actually touch the magma, that would be bad. We will of course have to dig out these sections down here, but that's no problems, we can put in some temperature shift plates instead. And there we go. There we go. We're going to have to put in some steel doors. Reason being, even if we put temperature shift plates between here, it won't transfer the temperature. So we need something to act as a conductor. I'm thinking mechanized airlocks made of steel should do just fine. Though I suppose we should probably run some power down here. That might be an idea, just to speed things along a little bit. Done. We're now sucking heat out of these ends and forcing them through to the center. Easy way to tell us, you can grab, say, one of these rocks here. This is 560.4. 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. That's because we're drawing heat from the further extremes where it's much hotter and siphoning it all towards the center with all of these temperature shift plates. Well, we're sort of evening the temperature out, and of course the temperature overlay can't really tell us much. It's just all red. However, I did realize, why am I putting in diamond window tiles? I don't need those. The temperature shift plates are all that really matters. I should have just stuck in the temperature shift plates and left it at that. For example, I could just do, well, that on the end, and that would be pretty much just as good. There's no point. I'm an idiot. But that should allow us to keep this running an awful lot longer, though we're starting to run out of water here. I've limited this so that one of the intakes is coming directly from our slush geyser and our polluted slush geyser, and this intake over here is coming directly from a salt water geyser, though I'm going to need to hook up a second one. Yeah, there's a second one here. I'm going to have to hook that up to it as well. But that should sort out all of our water filtration, all of our water storage, and our diamond production. In fact, how is our diamond production doing right now? Well, diamond production was going well, but unfortunately I think we melted the switch. The switch was made of copper. Yeah, and it melted. Oh, wait, don't stand. Oh, God damn it. Never mind. We will replace some of these switches here and things with tungsten just to make sure nothing else melts, and that should ensure continued production of rad bolts. Now, the moment that switch is placed, those things are going to start firing, so I'm going to have to be very careful here. I like to think our dupes are being very industrious right about now. Our diamond is up to 23 tons already. I think we'll be back up to the 30 tons in no time at all. This is actually a really nice way to produce lots and lots of diamond. Not sure we're going to need this much of it, but I'm willing to give it a try. Let's actually turn these on again. These things I turned off for a minute because all the machines had actually been filled up. But they can fill them at an absolutely incredible pace. Even the duplicates can't keep up with it. I suppose when you've got a rocket launching and landing as much as this one is, what are we up to? What the hell happened there? Did something impact? I saw a giant sort of explosion of rads. Okay. That's probably not good, but it's fine. The duplicants can walk it off. It's only a mild exposure. Okay, I think they've actually caught up now. Fine. Okay, they're actually staying ahead of the rads, but I might want to switch this off in a bit. I think because it's going to melt this landing pad. The landing pad's up to, what, 23,000 degrees? 23 point... It doesn't seem to ever go up to 24, though. I think that's as hot as it gets. Oh, no, we've hit 24. Never mind. But I think the exhaust that comes off of this is actually cooler than the heat it generates. So long as we keep it below, what is it, 3,400? This thing won't melt. The only problem is the nuclear waste beneath it will eventually get hot enough to, well, melt its way out of here. Or evaporate. That would take an awful long time, though. Well, I am horribly behind schedule today. That water tank really... I still can't believe I spent an entire day just building a water tank. Never mind. But we also got diamond production knocked out of the way. In fact, we were back up to, what, 31 tons of diamond. So all the diamond we spent down in the magma biome on our water filtration system is now all completely replenished. All we need to do is, I really want to kind of push this way as far as I can so that we can finally just finish off that water tank. I have that completion spec now and I just want it done. If we could stretch that all the way down to there, think about how glorious that would be. It's just an enormous water tank. Like, people who do infinite liquid storage, they don't get to experience the joys of dealing with all of this stupidity. I can kind of actually understand why they do. Anyway, never mind. I hope you enjoyed and good luck.